Good morning, and thank you so much for coming back to my channel on YouTube. And on this particular video, I want to share with you my very bad experience with CPTSD. And by now you're thinking, is there a good experience ever with CPTSD or its diagnosis? And the answer is, of course not. However, because we are all different people, we're going to experience CPTSD in a mildly different way from others. But yes, we do all share some of the same symptoms, but for me, life was absolutely miserable. It could not have been any worse, and it could not have come at a worse time, because I was going to law school and I was getting ready to graduate from law school and then to take the seminars to learn about the state exam to get licensed as an attorney before all of this was happening in my life. So believe you me, it really came at a bad time. I came to the other side of it absolutely fantastically well, and you can do it too. On my next video, I'm going to take you one by one through a whole list of things that I did to get rid of the manifestations of complex PTSD. But this particular video, however, is going to be a little bit more to share with you the horrible existence that was for me to go through law school and to actually graduate and study for the state exam and still be experiencing all of these horrible symptoms of the condition, complex PTSD. So, before anything, I want to tell you that I am inside my home gym. Believe it or not, it is the one place in the entire property where I am not going to have our dear Dexter barking or trying to play or toss a toy because he wants to play. This is our Shepsky. He is half German Shepherd and half Husky, and he loves to play when I do videos. So this is my home gym. It is a little bit messy and cluttered, as you can see back there, so I appreciate your patience, but this is the one quiet place where I can do a video. And I just came back from the local gym, so I am just wearing my workout clothes. Again, thank you so much for understanding, but this is a very important subject. So the first thing I wanted to share with you was the list of symptoms that I was experiencing back in the year 2001. This is the year when I had already finished law school. I already had my law degree. However, this is when the symptoms kicked in. And it is said that if you are going to have a meltdown, it's going to happen during those times in your life when you are going through some severe change in your life. And as you can imagine, graduating from law school and preparing to get licensed by taking the state exam can be an exceedingly stressful time in anybody's life. So this is when the full-blown CPTSD for me kicked in. So here's the list, and there are so many symptoms, honestly, that I had to actually write myself a little list, which I have next to the lens right now. I had trigeminal neuralgia, and believe you me, if you're not familiar with this type of neuralgia, you want to read about it, because the pain a lot of times has been described by sufferers as the worst pain in the history of humankind, just to give you an idea. Then I did have the anxiety, depression, and panic disorder, One thing I want to tell you about those three is that they travel together. Typically, if you are suffering with depression, you're going to have anxiety, you're going to have panic disorder. Also, they do run in families. I also had heart palpitations, I had stomach distress, I had flashbacks, nightmares, insomnia, I lost my appetite, I had body neuralgias, like half of my body was painful to the touch. It almost felt like a burning sensation. I had backaches, and I also was suffering with that disassociation almost that you briefly or temporarily experience when you're almost watching a movie. It's very interesting because it's almost like you're not a part of the movie, but you're watching the movie and you're sitting right there in the classroom. So that's how I was feeling. I was feeling so dissociated from my classmates, from the professor, from everything that was going on, that I honestly do not even remember classmates. I had an experience in which I was working at a law firm, and this woman came in, and I sort of, I guess, saw her from afar, and she seemed familiar, but I just kept going about my business. I was working then as a paralegal after graduation, and I remember my boss coming to me and saying, "Hey, do you recognize her?" And I looked at the lady and I said to my boss and to her, "You look so familiar." I really thought that the familiarity was coming from the fact that I had seen her face in the phone book as an attorney. And indeed, she testified to that. She confirmed. She said, "Yes, I do have an ad in the phone book." So I thought at that moment, that's where I know her from. But she says, "No, I was in each and every one of your classes." And I was absolutely embarrassed because I could not remember her. I couldn't place her. I didn't know where she sat. I didn't know the classes to which she was referring. But this is very, very common for people with CPTSD, because what happens is your mind is wrapped around survival. And at that particular time, you're not looking at faces, you're not really listening. You're hearing noises, you hear conversations, but you're not listening to the words. And you see people in general, but you're not looking at faces. So later you see them and they seem familiar, but she can't place them because it's almost like a blackout. But hopefully it is temporary. Mine was temporary. As soon as I was removed from the situations, or, I actually moved away or finished the seminar or whatnot, it was all fine again. But at that particular moment, the closest thing to it would be like a blackout. You really do not remember. And you're almost watching a movie and you can't place individual faces and conversations. You just hear stuff. You're not listening. Very, very interesting phenomenon. For those of you out there who have CPTSD and might have experienced something similar, do not feel bad, because it is one of the symptoms of CPTSD. It is very common. And so the list that I just gave you is a very short list of all the symptoms that I was feeling. And here I am, 22 years later. And I can tell you, well, almost 22 years later, not quite, but I can tell you that those manifestations are gone. Now, having said this, it means that I cannot drop the ball. For the rest of my life, for the rest of my days, I have homework to do. I cannot stop. I have to work at it every day, day in, day out. The good news is that, to be honest with you, I feel the fittest mentally and body-wise that I have been in my entire life. And it is all because I was proactive with the CPTSD. Instead of my taking medications, or instead of exacerbating and worsening my situation by getting into trouble, I decided to be proactive by being healthy. I had to make sacrifices, and I had to make a ton of changes, from a new diet to a better quality of sleep, to decreasing my caffeine intake, to increasing my physical activity with anaerobic and aerobic exercises, as well as running and all other things. And I am going to be talking about that on the next video. But in this particular video, I just wanted to share with you how bad my situation was back in the year 2001. And I can honestly tell you that without medications, you can do this, because if I was able to do it, so can you. And I am very healthy. I have an amazing life. I would not change where I am today for anything in the world. I am going to take you on the next video step by step with all the things that I did. It's a huge list of things that I did and still do every single day, but you can do it. Just hang in there. You're tougher than you think. And one more thing, the world is a better place because you are in it.